A very good evening to everybody watching. Thank you for joining us tonight on the evening review. My name is Taiwan Jabela. Tonight on the platform we are joined by Junias David. He's a young thought leader. He is here to share some perspectives on issues of national interest, and we called him in just to share with us on his views on those. Thank you very much, Junias, for making time. Welcome to the platform. Last week, you and Hosea Shishiveni wrote a very interesting piece in the Namibian titled Let Mongunda Rise, where François fell. If you can explain maybe in summary what the content of that article is for those who did not read it. But perhaps before that, just tell us about yourself for the viewers to know who we are talking to.
Oh yes, thank you, Mr. Toibo. I'm Junias David. Call myself a community person. In the capacity of writing, I call myself a thought leader. Okay. I have been in the community doing several work, and I went for the Mandela Washington Fellowship, which is in the civic spaces. And many of the ideations that are in the articles are just coming from that perspective that I always hold as a community leader, as a civic person.
Yeah.
So to summarize what I've written with my co-writer, who is also a thought leader as I am, as a young man, went to university together, and we always meet up or we communicate on text, just having civic discussions, noble conversations, sometimes can lead up to debate. But it just started on International Women's Day. We were passing through the city of Windhoek and recognized the space where François used to stand as a statue. And it fell 2022. And right now there is only a laughing that is the one seated there. And we're thinking like, oh, it's Women's Day, and we have women that should be celebrated. And since the statue of François, who is infamous, it's removed, is there a plan for it to be replaced with another statue? And sort of, why can't it be a woman? If paging the history, I did history from high school and stuff, we know there is a lady, Kakurukaze Mungunda, who played a significant role in the story of Windhoek and how Windhoek it is today, people being removed from odd location to what we know, Katutura, which was never meant to be permanent, but now it's permanent with its struggles. The struggles are also permanent. So to summarize the big idea behind the article, because when you put out articles there, it's not just to make them, there's always intention, the bigger picture of the article. So the bigger idea is to make Windhoek vibrant. You want Windhoek to develop in a vibrant manner, whereby if you look at Africa as a whole, there's also something like the Africa we want. So there's a specific Windhoek that we want as youngsters, and that's changing the narrative from, but if we put a figure that has sentimental thoughts and a contribution to what Windhoek is, it's sort of somber and sad, but that can change the narrative of where we want Windhoek to be.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So in summary, you're saying where François stood, of course, the monument was removed, that we somehow put a statue of Kakurukaze Mungunda, essentially.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about her, insofar as her role in the old occasion, that revolution that took place there? What do you remember about her?
Yes, as a youngster, what I have in my thought is what I have read and what I have heard, and the book that painted a good picture of it is Where Others Wavered by Sam Nujoma. It doesn't even start on the 10th of 1959 December. No. It starts from March, somewhere in February, that there was a development that has happened that led to the 10th of December, and that the uprising itself was caused by an instruction to boycott because there were workers, domestic workers, and everybody just to boycott, to stop using public transport and everything. And when that happened, the administration retaliated, and didn't retaliate in a kind way or in a orderly manner of just saying don't do this. They were aggressive. They were shooting people already this side. And back to Kakurukaze Mungunda, I read in the book now that she was an ordinary lady who lived in old location. Some people say he used to own a cooker shop. She was vibrant, Semnioma writes. She was a quite beautiful woman as she's writing. Not to spin things out of context, but that's what she writes. She was a common lady. You know, on that day, a young man was shot. And as a mother, I believe, the sentimental of it, a child being shot, she went to the administration, who were even armed, and confronted them. Yeah. And that's what led to her being shot. But the whole idea is just to celebrate ordinary people so that they can also be in statues, so that we only don't put historical figures that were on the front line, on the mainstream, hosting leadership roles, but as well ordinary Namibians such as Anna, who per se didn't really have a specific role, like to say, oh, she was a leader of women movement or what, but she was an ordinary woman who played a significant role in fighting oppression in sight of death. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. I have read about Kakurukaze Mungunda myself many years ago when I was still in school, of course. And then, of course, we still continue to see snippets of that history. But in your understanding, did she play a role beyond just the 10th of December? Like she was persistent in the search for justice for her people in that area? Or is it somebody who just popped up on that day, as you might have read? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but in other words, did she came to fame only on that day? She just happened to stumble upon the resistance, and she joined and became a hero in that moment? Or was she some sort of activist already even prior to that day, as you understand?
As I've read and as I've gathered my research to the people that remembered of her very well, they are saying that she wasn't just an ordinary, as I want to put it, but she was a significant figure in the community, doing everyday chores, hosting an assembly. People used to gather around her, and Sam Nujoma himself saying she knew her as a community lady who was doing everyday activities of other women that they do. And also she wasn't really aggressive towards the administration and stuff, but the administration pushed her to an extent where she has to retaliate as a mother. But basically she was just an ordinary lady doing everyday chores like any other lady in that area living in an old location.
Yeah.
But the escalation is that she had to put her life on the table for justice.
Absolutely. Do you think that makes it even more compelling? Because what we have seen in our country over the past 36 years is that heroes or heroic, or the people that we recognize as heroes are those that held some sort of status in society. And there's been cause by people saying, look, the people that we bury the heroes' acre, the people that we name after streets, the people who we name after roads and whatnot, should not only be those that have played heroic deeds at that level, but really ordinary people who also accomplished a few things. Do you think that Mongunda fits that narrative to say she was a common woman who rose on the day, and she must therefore, she's a very different kind of hero and not your usual people that we sing about every day?
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole narrative that we are putting in the article, to say common people they should also be put at the front of public memory, whereby we just don't want to see statues of people that were at the front, but as well common people should be celebrated because they played a significant role to the structure. The structure wasn't just playing at the top to fight injustice, but it was in the mainstream at every step, at every level. People were fighting injustice, including now Anna Kakurukaze Mungunda. And there's basically a way of remembering people where you can put a statue and say it's a statue of an unknown woman.
Yeah.
I don't think that's something that we can put out there while there are significant figures like Anna Kakurukaze Mungunda who put her life at stake of justice. And if you see the global cause, the stories of heroes, people that we celebrate like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, there's always a death aspect that is in it, and that's sentimental. There's no price to put on the table in negotiation than putting your life. That's why we celebrate these people. And for Christians, I don't want to go into preaching and stuff, but the story behind, you can also see Jesus also died for people's sins. So it's a story of people that have put life on the table. It's kind of humane, natural to celebrate and to put the public memories such as statues and all those stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, when you visit the site where the François statue stood in the past, what is there now lately? I haven't been there.
Yeah, so when we were doing our drive now with my friend, we checked there and there's a love structure. You know, this kind of thing like welcome to the town.
Yeah.
These things going on where it's a red heart for tourism.
Is it there
purposely.
by the circle there?
I don't know exactly at the statue. There's just a love
but
mounted.
where's the statue? Is it because I saw the welcome to Windhoek thing with a white frame.
Yeah.
There by the circle.
By the circle. Yeah. So it kind of resembles that this thing that they put on there where the statue is. It's just a love thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think to boost tourism and feel the warmth. But we can tell a better story than that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We go for a very short break and return with Junias David. We continue the conversation here on the evening review with the young man, Junias David. We're talking about Windhoek and the need to recognize those that have played a role in shaping this city into what it is today. So Windhoek has its founders. Of course, the Germans, for them it's François who is credited to have found Windhoek, whatever that means. Because what does even finding means? Because we were a city, because we were not a city, but what is Windhoek today was already there, except maybe for the infrastructure, but
administration.
But to say somehow that you found it as if, anyways, but for example, there's in history there's something about the Eichams. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Eichams, which is hot springs, the area of hot springs or something like that, which is Windhoek. And I think the name comes from the Nama language, from Kwekwe language rather, which suggests that there ought to have been life of some sort in this area, in the central parts of Namibia before that. What is your take on this, François being the founder of the city?
Oh yes, it's quite controversial, and looking at the whole global narrative of how founding is told. It's quite different. Let's say with the Welwitschia plant, they ought to say that it was founded by a man called Welwitschia. But in vernaculars, they have different names, and it has been there. Herreros call it Onyanga or something like that. Because it has been there, someone who discovered it just to amplify it and to put it in context and in writing and historical, to make it monumental and stuff. So Windhoek, being founded by François, is a concept to say they brought administration and all those stuff. But in reality, if we take it back, we can give it to Namas, can give it to Herreros call it Tochomise, and these are the nascent original names for Windhoek. We could say he's not the founder, he's a administrative founder, maybe to come up with a municipality and all those things, because there was administration that they have formed it up there. And you can also see the names of other towns. I have a Tamara friend of mine who is very quite keen, just like the casual conversation that led to the article. He was telling me, no, Windhoek is Aichams. It's for the Komani people that live on the highland of the Tamara, because Tamaras also have like nine different dialects and stuff. So the ones that were in Windhoek, they call it Komanis. Then Herreros are calling it Shomithe. Shomithe, the smoke, something. And it also relates to Aichams, something smoky and stuff. So the founding, it's context by how the globe was written and was divided, the borders were assigned. Also Victoria Falls, it also has a name, but they gave it Victoria Falls because somebody, maybe the roads administration that was there, gave them that. But it's something that we need to debunk and retell. I see in Johannesburg, Pretoria, locals like calling it, I forgot the name.
It's
Pretoria.
I know Pretoria was renamed into a name that people of certain class have been rejecting. I can't remember the name now, but I know the example. Just like you have Gebeha, what is it? Port Elizabeth was Gebera or Gebeha that was changed. But nobody ever calls it by that name. And we had the same persistence. If you go to it's called what happened to my English today? But there's this body that does the demarcations of constituencies in the country, and the last one had decided at one point to rename Ludretz to Naminus. And there was a huge pushback, even by the local people there, because you could say, maybe, look, the German-speaking people would feel, German-speaking Namibians would feel that their culture is being wiped off the country's earth or face. But even when the local Nama communities, the colored communities, the natives of that area, when they say no, we don't want Naminus. So Naminus was meant to be also the town, the name of the town, but now it's only the name of the constituency in which the town is found. So, how, in your view, what must we do to maintain some sort of unity? Because you have also, of course, we know that people like von François in Windhoek here, maybe they were part of that brutal history of some sort. But how do we make sure that going forward, somehow, the country reflects the demographics of all of us who live here, including the German-speaking community?
Anna, that's good. I think I just remembered Pretoria. It's Tshwane.
Tshwane, yes. Tshwane, yes.
So what we can do, Namibia is now at the time where we don't talk about Germans and Namas or Shuvambo. It's Namibians. It's something that the former president Hage Geingob narrated very well for Namibian house, tribes, a wall being plastered, and everybody's in Namibia. So to keep relevance to the original idea. The original idea is always the first, how it was called first. Do we go back to the original idea, or do we maintain it as it is right now? The fact that if we maintain it as it is, we might accept a certain demography that are saying, no, we want it to go back to the original idea. And then on the other side, there's a demography that's saying, it can be like this. We have also built it, put roads and stuff and like this. Everybody is coming with their contribution and stuff. And with the national reconciliation also allows us to not have commotions when we are trying to discuss this kind of stuff. So by public discourse, we should decide what we should do without affecting the next person. As I'm saying with François to fall, we have written our article to say, there's also family that had different point of view to say, it's part of our heritage, it's part of Windhoek with the infamous and all those stuff. But what will be better story for the public? So it's a cost-benefit analysis to say, if we keep François, what story will tell Windhoek? If you put Anna, what story will it tell for Windhoek? Not for Oshivambo, not for Hereros, not for Germans, but at whole, what will it tell a bigger story for Windhoek, or for a specific place that we want to change that? What benefit does it have for the whole group, if we can put it to judge? Whereby selfishness shouldn't be involved. If we are to all come, if I bring a group of Shivambo and Germans, let's not have Shivambo voting it to be reflecting to theirs, to their stories and stuff, because it's them. But they should be fair and just considerate of what will be fair to the whole group.
Yeah. So I'm asking Junias, because obviously there is we are in 2026. The descendants, the forefathers of the Germans, for example, we know the history. The less we go into that, the better for now. But if we, I mean, from the white communities in Namibia, for example, the subsequent generations of German-speaking Namibians, your Hartmut Ruppels, who I think was our first Attorney General, if I'm not mistaken, at independence, and a few others who really played a significant role. Lubowski, Anton Lubowski, I would think that he was also of German descent. So there are those who really, the subsequent generations of German community, who came to say, look, we must fight for the independence and equality of all Namibians. How do we make sure that in correcting history, we do not alienate those who eventually bought into the concept of nationhood, like your Lubowskis and Hartmut Ruppels and others? Because I see names everything is being named after this, after that, after this, after that. Because if I am living in a country where I'm Oshwambo speaking, where every Oshwambo street is being renamed into something else, every stadium that is carrying an Oshwambo name is being renamed, I'll feel that there's a gradual erasing of my identity. How do we make sure that I don't want things being named after some German guys who came here and caused problems. But the subsequent generations.
So besides being the person who, let's say Anton Lubowski, let's not put it as he's white, he's of German descent, but what did he do? What did he do for the goodness of society, for justice even? So fair and square, he qualifies just to be praised, to be of public memory, to be streets, statues of what he did, based on nothing else, just the name Anton Lubowski, it has done this, then that qualifies automatically.
Absolutely. Any final thoughts, my brother? We have 30 seconds left. Just to sum up your views, you think, I mean, when you make a suggestion as bold as to say Kakurukaze Mungunda must stand where François fell, as a young person, do you write hoping someone in a position of power and influence can read and introduce your ideas at the right platform? Or do you have the energy to go further and say, look, apart from writing, we can also knock at some doors to really make this thing a reality?
Oh, yes, in conclusion, thank you so much for that. So our plan, we are targeting Binduk. As I said, narrated earlier, there is a concept as in our conversations or with the youth, or the Binduk we want, tell a different story. So I remember when Andimba Toiva passed on, there was just a public, how do you call it, discussion. Someone put out it there on radio, newspaper, and today the airport is renamed. There's even a statue standing there. So our idea is for people of institution that can have a gavel and say this should be done, so that if they understand the goodness in it, then it should happen. So right now the president is female. There is also movements, the future is female, and all those that I think is the right time, and we are gonna write a proposal and just submit it to the right specialist of Binduk. That's our target.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Junias, for coming through.
Thank you so much, Mr. Toivo.
Yes, that is Junias David. He's a local thought leader who, together with a friend of his, wrote last week that where the von François statue stood, of course we know it fell, it was removed some 2-3 years ago. So the young people are saying we must put Kakurukaze Mungunda to stand there as one of the heroes of Binduk. Thank you for watching.